I can't be the only one who feels politically homeless at the moment. But maybe that's not such a bad thing. Politics is at its worst when it tends towards tribalism, the them and us mentality, the notion that your side can do no wrong and the other side must be condemned irrespective of the details. Really, there should be no such thing as a Tory voter or a Labour voter. There should just be voters, open-minded and willing to be persuaded by whichever candidate presents the strongest argument. At the present time, however, the electorate appears to be faced with no choice at all. Part of the problem is that no one seems to know what any of these parties really stand for, least of all the parties themselves. Labour is meant to be the party of working people, but they seem predominantly obsessed with middle-class identitarian nonsense. And the most staunch Conservative supporters are now doubting whether the party is Conservative in any meaningful sense at all. So is this the end of the Tory party in its current form? The polls make for very bleak reading for the much-beleaguered Rishi Sunak. A People's poll by GBNews has revealed that only 6% of the adult population expect their living conditions to improve. 70% of British adults are not confident at all that the government can reduce living costs. And that includes a majority of those who voted for the Conservatives in the last election. So Sunak is left in the highly unusual position of having to convince his own support base to vote for him. Never mind the armies of the undecided. Sunak is, of course, aware that it's an uphill struggle. Here are the latest figures on Westminster voting intentions. Labour are polling at 45% and the Tories at 19%. Sunak hasn't a hope. But I think all of this suggests that we need an overhaul of the system. Many people, myself included, felt that the party missed a trick by not taking a chance on Kemi Badenoch for leader. Too often politicians fail to understand that the culture war is a crucial matter when it comes to the electorate, and Badenoch understands this. Yes, the economy has to be a priority, but the party of government neglects these cultural issues at its peril. In fact, it's not so much that the Tory government has failed to tackle the worst excesses of the culture warriors. The Tories have actually presided over them. Statues have been torn down, curricula decolonised, Stonewall's regressive policies have been implemented throughout the public sector and the civil service, and all of this has happened under the Tories' watch. They claim they've been fighting a war on woke. It's a funny sort of war when you keep nourishing your opponent. And all of this is going to get a lot worse under Keir Starmer. The Labour Party is overwhelmingly captured by the new ideology of critical social justice, what has become known as the woke movement, which is why a Labour government will be happy to tell us all that the UK is irredeemably racist, even though poll after poll reveals that the country is one of the most non-racist on the planet. And they will insist that biological sex doesn't matter, even when it comes to sports, prisons and domestic violence refuge centres. Keir Starmer has already pledged to push through gender self-identification laws, following in the lumbering footsteps of the SNP. It won't be popular. Only 20% of Scottish adults support the SNP's new policies. But Starmer will do it anyway, because the ideology matters more than popularity. Can you imagine this country being run by a man who apparently doesn't know what a woman is? Doesn't bode well. Which takes me back to my original point. I think most of us are going to stay politically homeless for quite some time. The only way out is for one of the parties to take a new approach to offer the electorate something worth voting for. The current system simply isn't working. We don't have proportional representation in Parliament as much as we need it, and so something radical has to break the deadlock. And it's probably going to have to come from within the Conservative Party itself. I don't know what lies ahead for the Tories, but whether you're on the right, the left or somewhere in between, for all our sakes, something has to change.